This is the Board of Trustee meeting of January 23rd, 2018. I'd like to call for a motion to close the executive session and open the public meeting. Trustee Cassell? Second. Trustee, pick one. Trustee Nell, discussion? All in favor? Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I have the prayer tonight. So in light of the recent government shutdown and another school shooting today, I want to pray for spiritual guidance for all our government leaders to encourage them to always seek righteousness, justice, and mercy, and to always lead with honesty and integrity.
So tonight we have a public hearing to amend Chapter 40, the Code of Ethics. Is there anybody that,
I'm going to take a motion to open the public hearing, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And then we can maybe have Alan Harris, who's the chair of the Ethics Committee, present briefly to you, if that's okay? He's here?
yes, he is here. Can I have a motion to open the public meeting? Trustee Vasilla, Trustee Nell, second. Discussion? All in favor? Alan, would you like to make a comment?
I'll give you a little background. We received a recommendation from the Ethics Committee for some changes. We set the public hearing, I think it was at maybe the December meeting for today. I think, Alan, you were away, and so Alan's here to explain what the proposed changes are and why they're recommended.
So, first of all, thanks for having me and thanks for considering this. If any members of the public or any members of the board would like a copy, I have a copy of the specific proposal and what is involved, which was an email that I sent to the former mayor on September 12th, 2016. I've got a copy of the Village Code of Ethics as well so that you can see what it involves. At the last hearing, I went into it in some detail. I sort of defer to your judgment, Darius, as to you want me to sort of go into detail, you want me to give sort of a thumbnail sketch?
Yeah, I think the thumbnail sketch, we did publish it in the paper. We did have it out on the, for all the trustees to review, also on the website for people to review.
Okay.
I think it's pretty, self-explanatory, but maybe you want to do a thumbnail sketch, if that's okay with the board?
Okay, perfect. So what I'm really trying to do here, and what the Board of Ethics is really trying to do here, is make an amendment that will serve the purposes that were behind the original Code of Ethics. And what these amendments would do would be to expand the scope of the Code of Ethics. And basically, there are a number of provisions that only address a person, meaning a person who you know, or a person who's a relative of yours, or a person who's giving you money, who you can't do business with, let's say, in your official capacity. And those provisions we would want to expand, not to be limited to a person, but also to be limited to include entities. So it would be not a person or entity. And in the same way that would be done for the conflict of interest section, meaning you shouldn't take discretionary acts with respect to people or entities with whom you've gotten money or with whom your spouse is employed. Similarly, the change would expand person to include entity in the recusal and disclosure section, meaning, for example, when each of you would vote on a matter and you were going to try to decide, for example, to buy a new fire truck from a particular company. And if that company were to be a company that your spouse was employed by, or a company that has given you a material benefit or money in the past, then you should recuse yourself and you should disclose that relationship. That's really it.
Board have any questions?
I would just make a comment that this makes a lot of sense. It's a good change, and I'm glad that you're keeping, the code evolving in a way that is the right direction.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Alan, thank you very much for the work you've done on this, and thank the other members of the board also.
I will indeed.
It's good work, and we appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Alan.
Mary, you want to see if there's any public comment?
Yeah, anybody? Mike?
Mike Merrill, 32 Walnut Street. I'd just like to ask a couple questions. I don't know if this has been pursued yet, because the issue that Ellen is bringing up is a couple of years old already. But maybe we'll start with Alan or Darius, whether we've looked into our code a little harder and how it compares to the office's controller's recommendations for municipal ethics codes, whether there's additional things that we could be doing to strengthen it that are more in line with most of the rest of the communities around us, or if this is it. First of all, I guess, has there been some comparison made?
No, we haven't, I haven't, I don't know if the committee has, Alan, we can look into it though. These are pretty standard though, but if there's something different, we can look into it and present or to the board if you like.
Well, the reason I bring it up is there is actually a template available from the
Sure, there is, yeah.
Controller's office for municipalities to, with boilerplate, just put in an ethics code. There are also consistently bills introduced in committee at the state level. Of course, most of the municipalities have already adopted these template terms, so there's not a whole lot of impetus to roll it out to the rest of New York State, which is why I asked if we've done that comparison.
No, I haven't.
So I'm happy to address those questions. I was one of the original members, and I'm not going to swear to this, but my understanding is that our village ethics section was from the League of Women Voters, that was the template that was used. I could be wrong about that, but that's my recollection. And of course, we're not empowered as the members of the board to change that, but I feel comfortable speaking on behalf of myself to say that we would welcome any suggested change to the members of the board and for us to be copied so that we could sort of weigh in on them for what it's worth. We have no power to amend it because it's the village code.
Is there something that you saw in the template, Mike, that was different from ours that you'd want to suggest we change?
Well, this is pretty much a no-brainer because it addresses entities that are
Right.
that are closely related to the same persons that are
Right.
human in the existing code. There is quite a bit of expansion of certain sections in the recommendations from the Controller's Office and the Ethics Committee of the state legislature. That, like I said, there are distinctions between what we've got currently in our code and what exists, say, in Irvington, Ardsley, and Hastings. So, if we were considering optimum code changes going forward, this would be one of the high differential areas, I would say.
Right. Well, why don't you take a look and get back to us with some feedback on something that, you feel would be worthwhile, changing in the code. I know just from past experience myself in the village, I'm not sure how often we've had to meet, but I have to say that over the years, we have a pretty good record when it comes to that. And I think there's only been a few times that we had to present things to the Ethics Committee. So I don't know, Alan, if you agree with me on that, but, it looks like the code has served us well historically.
So once again, I mean, I could be wrong. I thought that the other villages, that there was sort of a movement at one time that was being pushed by the League of Women Voters to have river towns, other communities in Westchester, et cetera, adopt an ethics code. I think many of them didn't have anything. I believe at that time, and once again, I could be wrong, that Irvington and Hastings followed the League of Women Voters template. But once again,
Yeah, I'm looking,
I'm the last person to stand in the way of it improving. I mean, if there's a way to improve it,
Sure,
all ears.
I'm open for
Yeah.
that.
I'm looking at Irvington's online now. It's actually, the language, a lot of it is very similar. It's like it was exact, so it sounds like it's sort of a template. But we can look at it, and I can let you know, and we can see if there's anything that the state has that's different. We'll take a look.
I certainly think that, I mean, I personally would want the highest ethical standards that we could have, and I'm sure everybody on the board would agree. So, you know, if you could help with that, we'd certainly appreciate it.
Sure, I can forward materials, like I said, if there's going to be other public discussions or
Right.
committees or whatever, I'm
Great.
happy to contribute.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Anyone else want to address the board?
So Mayor, you can take a motion to
Oh, well,
close.
take a motion to
You take it.
close. Yeah, take a motion to close the public hearing. Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Durazi, discussion? All in favor? Okay, consider a motion to approve ordinance number 3 and
Wait,
number...
Mayor, if you could we, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you, if you're interested to take a motion to adopt the local law to amend Village Code Section 40-3 and 40-4 and 40-11 as proposed, that way we can put it on the books.
Great.
That's okay?
Yes. I'll take a motion to amend Chapter 40 of the Code of Ethics. Trustee Cassell, second. Trustee Taylor, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Mayor.
That's okay. Consider a motion to approve orders number 3 and number 4 for Jan...
Courtesy of the floor.
Of course, you're the floor.
You're getting there.
Oh, I'm getting there.
I know you want to make the.
Courtesy of the floor.
I don't know nobody that is sitting here with courtesy.
I don't know if there's anybody left.
Just open it up and see if anybody's here.
Would anybody like to make a comment? Chris,
There's
would
nothing.
you like to make a comment on the...
He'll talk later.
You'll t-
When our time comes.
Yeah, okay. Very good, thank you.
You premonition.
Really?
That's right.
Number one.
Number 1, consider a motion to approve orders number 3 and number 4 for the third time for January 2018 as recommended by the village treasurer. Motion? Trustee Rosillo, second. Trustee Taylor, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Consider number 2, consider a motion to approve the tax certiorari settlement for 343 Broadway in the amount of $21,193.16 for the tax year 2016.
I'll give a little background, Mayor, if you like.
Sure.
This is the church here up on Broadway. There was an exemption found by the village town assessor. It was overturned by the court. So this is a refund of the amount that was charged for that year in the amount of $21,000. Pretty standard. We really don't have a choice here, unfortunately. I wish we did. But let's learn the nuts and bolts of it. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them. Yes.
Yeah.
Southwest Virginia Church. Okay, any questions?
You have no choice, sir.
Yep. Consider a motion to authorize a salary stepping.
Wait,
No, we need to
gotta
take a
take the
vote.
vote.
Oh,
We're getting there.
motion, trustee Sullivan, second trustee Taylor. Discussion, all in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to authorize a salary step increase for Mr. Daniel Romer, Assistant Building Inspector, to grade 15, Step 2, for an amount of $77,420.32, effective January 16th, 2018, as recommended by Ed Manley, Building Inspector. Motion.
Mr. Mayor, before we do have that, we usually do not have these things before the board, a step increase that goes normally. However, when we hired him, Mr. Romer, we had a subject to his passing the building inspector's test and the proper certification, and he has the flying colors.
Great. Thank you. Motion? Trustee Cassell, second. Trustee Snell. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to authorize Mayor McLaughlin to sign a contract with Firematic for the purchase of 3 fire trucks in the amount of $2,036,773 to be paid for through monies bonded by the village in accordance with approved capital projects. And I see the chief here, Chief tonight. And Chief, would you like to say a few words about it? I really appreciate the work that you and your team did to, scout this out and do the research and come up with a great solution for us. And this was previously approved in the bond issue
Right.
that we had. And,
So, on behalf of my department, I'd just like to thank you guys, the mayor and the board, for getting this done. It's been a long process. I think we came up with a pretty good plan for the department. We have 3 trucks that are in, big need of being replaced, and, that's what we came up with. Everything's being purchased through one manufacturer, so it's all, all parts be the same, everything is gonna be pretty standard for the department. Last year, this department ran 510 alarms. We're doing a lot of running around, and these trucks are getting a lot of wear and tear. With all the construction going on in the village, we definitely need them. And again, I appreciate it, and thank you.
Did you want to introduce your 2 assistants?
Tonight is my 2 assistants, first assistant chief,
Thanks,
Ed
Ed.
Marin, and second assistant chief, Kevin Cullen.
Thanks, Chief. We appreciate all the work you did. And originally, for the amount of money, I think that was budgeted for, we actually budgeted for 2 trucks
Right,
for that amount. And you
right.
guys must have worked them over pretty good when it down to make the deal. Because they came back with 3 trucks. So we appreciate those efforts and what you saved for the village. And not only that, all the, your efforts for you and your folks, men and women in the volunteer fire department. People really do appreciate it. I know on Thanksgiving you guys went out and did your mutual aid with Irvington, and they were very appreciative.
Absolutely.
So you go above and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Consider, did we take a vote?
No.
Motion? Trustee Sullivan?
Do I have to read the motion?
Oh, I gotta read it. Consider a motion to authorize Mayor McLaughlin to sign a contract with Firematic for the purchase of 3 fire trucks in the amount of $2,036,773 to be paid for through monies bonded by the village and in accordance with approved capital projects. Motion. Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee DeRozzi, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to grant the mayor authority to execute an escrow agreement with Sabre Docks Ferry LLC for off-site improvements related to the Rivertown Square development. I'll just make a few comments, and I would welcome any comments from the trustees on this also. We were notified at the, I guess it was around the 2nd week of December, that the Rivertown Square development was considering a sale. And we did regroup at that time, and we discussed the approach with them. We negotiated the escrow agreement at that time. Thank you to all the trustees for getting involved. The bottom line was we got a much better, I think, deal for the village. And we increased the amount of money, although it's very, very close to the project to completion. I think there's a few minor things left. But they're actually going to be putting up escrow of $250,000 until September, and then we have 2 years at $150,000. And so that gives us some cushion as we go forward. If anything should, fall through the cracks, if something doesn't perform well over that 2-year period, we can then redo that with them, with the escrow we have. So we are aware that the closing is going to take place very shortly. The purchasers are very well-known, huge company in the area, the ownership of malls and properties similar to Rivertown Square, very high-end properties around the country. So I don't know if any of the other members, but I need to thank all the trustees and, of course, the village attorney, Darius, for working on this over the holiday for many, many hours to get the work done on this, so away from their families and friends. So thank you all very much. Any other comments? I think we have to vote on that. Motion?
Did you read it?
I read it. Motion. Trustee Priscilla, second. Durazi? Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to adopt a resolution accepting a proposal from Professor John Nolan of the Land Use Center of Pace University School of Law for an educational forum for all village boards involved with land use at a cost of $2,250. Motion. Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Taylor, discussion. All in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to schedule a public hearing on February 13th, 2018, to amend Chapter 290-32, Snow Emergency Streets Designated of the Village Code.
Mr. Mayor, this is for one street which the DPW has found that there's parking there during the snowstorm, and they would like to designate it because it's very hard to clean it, and that's English Lane. So that, it will be a public hearing on that specific street, adding it to the code.
I would just ask one question. Assume they've thought about whether it's practical that there's off-street parking for residents, that there are other places for people to park?
My understanding is that they did, they looked at it, there's driveways for individual houses, and it's sufficient for them, but there are other people parking there, maybe from other streets, they really don't know, or extra cars. However, that street can't be cleaned because of the narrowness of it unless they have no parking there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sean. Okay. Motion? Trustee Nell, second. Trustee Cassell, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to complete the historical guidelines/requirements for the village of Dobbs Ferry in the amount of $12,500 to be paid for by the Dobbs Ferry Local Development Corporation. Motion?
I wanted to ask, since Mr. Tilley's here, I just wanted to ask him a couple of questions before we move forward. Do you mind, Mr. Tilley? I didn't think you did. So I just had a couple of questions about the proposed scope of work, because it talks about preparing, I don't know, documents intended for use as applicants to the AHRB, to prepare plans to construct or alter a building in the local historic district or undertake other site improvements within the board's purview. So I didn't know what that meant, because I thought it was going to be limited to the historic district, and kind of leads into my second question is, should we be having separate design guidelines or requirements for the historic districts only, or should we be revamping the ones that are already in our code?
No, I mean, my intention, in the scope was not to revamp the guidelines that are in the existing code. I think the land use committee worked on that with consultants, that we actually developed those guidelines earlier, and, they may not be perfect. So, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be sharpened up, but that wasn't part of this task that I'm proposing to do. So it's focused on the historic districts, but with, the existing historic district or the existing proposed historic district that's coming to you from the AHRB, I assume the recommendation, but also including, sections which would address other neighborhoods and including the downtown. So there would be some reference to commercial, some of the commercial districts.
So is it focused on the areas identified in the vision plan as historic, possible historic districts?
Yeah, well, the vision plan was kind of broad.
Okay.
So, it basically included the entire downtown, which is probably something that is not gonna happen right away. It might happen in increments, but making the investment, amortizing the investment so that in the future there are a set of guidelines or standards in place would make sense. While I'm about it, I've looked at a lot of the, most of the guidelines that I've done have applied both to Main Street and to residential streets, so that I have materials that sort of are Hudson Valley appropriate that I can particularize for Dobbs Ferry. I mean, that's the whole, kind of economy here, where I can bring some of that past experience to bear on the village.
And then it talks about, I assume what it says as required, the historic district committee is, who's the historic district committee? It says like, as required, the historic district committee will submit a draft to SHPO, village attorney, and the village board for their review and comment.
Right.
So who's,
Did you mean the task force?
There's an historic district committee, which I sit on.
Oh.
Sonia chairs it.
you mean the task
Task
force?
force, yeah.
The task-
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure I
I mean,
understood
I
what,
don't know, I actually am not, I haven't parsed the language of those resolutions, so I'm.
no, it's totally fine. I just want to make sure that we understand what's being proposed and what's talking about. So I assume that's what it meant, but I just wanted to make it clear.
That has to be what.
And what's the SHPO?
SHPO. State Historic Preservation
Okay,
Office.
the state.
Yeah. The SHPO.
Okay. And then it talks about at the end, like reimbursable, so it's a set fee of $12,500 for the 4 stages that you outlined.
Right.
And then reimbursable expenses will be billed at cost, is that like copying or something else?
No, well, that would be, mainly it would be if additional hard copies are wanted, sometimes I get a request.
Right,
From the municipality that, we need another 12 hard copies, and go ahead and distribute them, but that's not trivial to produce, so I just have to have a little protection in this for that.
Any other questions?
What other questions do people have? What did you decide?
Well, this, we're voting on to authorize the money through the LDC, the Local Development Corporation. We're not actually deciding
What the rules are?
anything here, what
No.
the
Right.
rules, the guidelines, the regulations.
No, I guess it's just a question of whether or not, and it's, you're explaining the difference between what's in the code and what these new guidelines would be, which I suppose was part of what we thought about before.
Right.
Was it necessary, or could we use the existing framework?
In the village code.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I mean, we'd have to take a close look at that, just to see how far that goes.
Yes.
The existing design guidelines in the code, which are in the appendix to the zoning code, chapter 300, are, from a layman's perspective, because I definitely consider myself a layman on this stuff, it's pretty bare boned. I mean, as far as I could see, like, I mean, if I lived in something that I consider historic or wanted to like mirror a historic thing, I wouldn't really understand what I was doing, or that wouldn't give me any guidance. It barely gives guidance for what you'd want to do if you like had a Queen Anne home and you wanted to maintain it as a Queen Anne home, what that means or doesn't mean. It's very basic, I think.
Those were really kind of in the direction of formally zoning. So in other words, zoning in pictures, or zoning
Right.
in diagrams, to amplify and illustrate zoning more than architectural or historic, certainly, definitely not historic district guidelines. It's very different kind of animal.
So the other communities that you've done these guidelines for, they've also been to supplement or clarify or strengthen the basic elements in their zoning codes, right?
It has to be consistent.
Right.
Otherwise, otherwise you have a problem. You know, at the beginning of our zoning code, it says, you need to have consistency, or the more limiting condition of the code applies. So it certainly has to be consistent with the underlying zoning. So this is sort of at a different level. It's like the helping guide the architectural review process, which is kind of at its fundamental basis as a state village law, and our village code describes what the duties are of that board. And this is to help that board operate and help applicants understand how that board is operating and what the guidelines are. Right now, for example, there's this wonderful language about excessive similarity or dissimilarity, which came out of the post-war cookie-cutter suburbs, and the desire to have not like 10 houses on the same street with the same, exactly the same. So this is a very different kind of animal from that basic stuff, and aimed at historic pictures. With illustrations, and, you've seen the guidelines we've done, or the standards we've done in other places, they get, they're very helpful for both applicants and the board.
So when these guidelines or requirements are produced, does that get, are we gonna then discuss incorporating that into the code?
Yeah, I mean, I think
We'd have to be approved.
These will be offered to you in draft form, and
they,
subject to, first of all, subject to the, I guess, dealing with the task force and the AHRB, and then brought to you for comment and adoption. So nothing's gonna happen until you see them. And typically, that took a while with the committee in Irvington, a lot of input, and then it went, there was a trustee that sat on that committee through the various meetings, and then it got brought to the board at large, and there was a chance for the public to comment on it, as everything else, and then there were maybe some minor tweaks that happened, but generally it had already been vetted well enough so that it wasn't a major restructure. So that's what I'm imagining happening here.
well, I mean, just given that these guidelines and requirements are gonna define what has to happen and what homeowners or business owners or property owners are gonna have to do or not do with respect to renovations, it's absolutely critical that this board be very involved, because it's where the rubber meets the road in terms of how it's actually gonna impact property owners.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think, it's, again, not the intention for it to be owners. It'll also be, every one of these cases and applications will be worked out before the board, whatever the language words are that are appropriate, that will be dealing with that application, but the AHRB, and then your final review for some of helpful, because otherwise, the whole point, just like when we were doing the zoning code, our whole goal was to try to avoid arguments, and to try to avoid confusion and arguments, right? We didn't necessarily, you know, we all know we didn't necessarily avoid them, but maybe we reduced them by some percentage, right? So, so that's the whole goal of this, is to, so we're gonna, you know, I knew in advance that, you know, this was, you know, what the village had decided was a standard that ought to be applied across the board. And, you know, like, if you're an applicant, you kind of don't have an argument if you're trying to deal with 90 degrees.
Any other questions?
So right now, we're agreeing to commit to making these, and then they would be presented as a draft, and then there would be public discussion on what they are. So this is not determining what they are or any of
Absolutely
that.
not.
It's just the money to make sure that they start.
Yes.
It's the beginning of the process.
Did we
Go
vote?
for it.
Okay, consider a motion to complete the historical guidelines/requirements
Thank you,
for
Mr.
the Village of Dobbs Ferry in the amount of $12,500
Thank
to be paid by the Dobbs Ferry Local Development Corporation. Motion. Trustee Nell, second. Let's speak this up. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to appoint Judy Haddad, Chris Syhow, Renato DeRusso as members of the Budget Committee, each for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the Nominating Committee. I'm familiar with the three individuals. They're all excellent candidates, and I think will really add to the Budget Committee. They're recommended by various people, and the Nominating Committee felt very strongly for each of the individuals. One's an engineer, one's financial type person, one's high-end technology person, which I think will help the village. Thanks, Alan. The village long-term with improving the technology, which I think we still have a lot of work to do, and I think that will help us on the expense side also. And the third is, has a finance and accounting and management background. Judy, and all three are very impressive. So now, the chair, Paul Stern, had a first meeting last week to talk about kicking off the budget review for the new year with a budget coordinator, administrator Delicato, and Jeff, who does a great job as treasurer for the village. So I'm looking forward to working with them, and Trustee Taylor now is the liaison to the Budget Committee. I thought it was a good meeting, Larry. Did you want to make any?
Sure, yeah, no, I think it was a good meeting, Bob. I think, I just would make the observation, we're lucky to have as many talented and dedicated residents who will give their time to help and hopefully can continue to make a difference in terms of the village's budget.
Great. So can I have a motion? Trustee Durazi, second. Trustee Taylor, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. The minutes, January 9th, 2018. Anybody have any comments on that? There was one, Maura, did you vote on that one where you got
Sure.
Mark as being here?
He was here. I was here.
I thought you were
No,
here
the-
and you
the
voted, so
beginning.
I think that would have to be changed.
No, it says,
In the beginning, no.
so she arrived at
No.
6:30.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so she
Yeah,
wasn't
but
there.
you
the
guys
whole
have
time.
opened the executive session.
Okay, may have missed that. Ready? Okay, we have a motion to approve. Trustee Nell, second. Trustee Taylor, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
I just really want to encourage the public that if you have any questions in reference to the mayor's newsletter or any kind of correspondence that comes out of City Hall, to please email us, call City Hall. I see a lot of comments and a lot of questions vague on Facebook. Go straight to the source. Don't waste your time writing, things that people are going to give you misinformation. That's what we're here for. So please email us directly. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Trustee Nell?
All right, couple updates. For the Rivertown's Chamber of Commerce, which was formerly the Dobbs Ferry Chamber of Commerce, they're having a coffee with the president on Thursday, February 1st at 7:30 a.m. for people who can't necessarily go to the monthly meetings, which are usually Wednesday nights. It's going to be at Brazar in Irvington. So if you want to come and meet with Maggie Segrick, she'd be happy to talk to you, president of the Chamber of Commerce. And then River Arts, it's their 25th year for the studio tour this year. I just wanted to announce that it's going to be Saturday and Sunday, April 21st and 22nd, 2018. They have a call out for participating artists. The deadline's February 23rd for that. It's always a big presence in Dobbs because we have 145 Palisade Street, which is where I work, disclosure. And that's where a lot of the artists are, and so they have a lot of foot traffic there, so it's really good for Dobbs. It's important, and everybody should know about that. It's going to be a big year for them. And finally, with the nominating committee, I just wanted to put a call out because they need more members on the nominating committee, which is where all of the committees get filled from. So if anybody's interested in joining that, they meet every second Wednesday at the Dobbs Ferry Village Court at 7:30. Go online, and on there's a button for volunteer opportunities. You submit a resume, and it goes to Liz Draper, village clerk, and she'll send it along to the nominating committee. So go join up with that.
That's great. The nominating committee is very important, and we need
Great holiday parties.
terrific holiday parties, yes, I must say. I'm going to miss those. But there's quite a few committees. The youth services is one where we really need some members, and some of the other committees that are very important to the operation of the village. And it's an opportunity for citizens to get involved in the village and the decision making and so forth. And you can be very helpful. So if you're not sure what you want to do or anything like that, we'll certainly be willing to discuss it with you and try to find the right spot that you can be most helpful within the village. Thank you, Trustee Nell. Trustee Sullivan?
I have a few announcements too. So the library is having a meet and greet with their new director on Saturday from 10 to 1. So I encourage everyone to come out and meet Elizabeth Hobson and hear about the exciting things that's going to be coming from the library this year. The seniors are having their Mardi Gras party at the firehouse, thank you, on February 13th from 11 to 1. And I had a rec commission meeting yesterday, and it seems like the Embassy Center is continuing to move along with their construction, so that's good news. So hopefully sooner than later we'll have that back up and running. And Kendra's done a great job with the new after-school programs, and so there's some trips if you want to sign up for on the early dismissal days on Wednesday, and some after-school programs that still have openings. And I know she sent out a survey for the camp, so if you haven't received it or want to, I would reach out to the rec department so she can have a better camp experience based on her own comments.
Thank you. Trustee Till?
I don't have any announcements this meeting.
I don't have anything either.
Yes. Why don't you talk about that? Yes.
As you may have seen in the Enterprise last week that our new chief, Rick Rivera, has instituted a new traffic enforcement unit in the village. Obviously, this is in response to all the complaints that we get about traffic and speeding, violations of stop signs, crosswalks, et cetera. The one thing I would like to say is, all those people who have been complaining about speeding, be aware. Be careful what you ask for, because a number of those people who have complained have actually gotten tickets. So, be aware that it's, you know, we're gonna become a speed trap, and we're trying, and it's not to collect money, it's not to be punitive, it's to keep our community safe, to contribute to the complete streets, to a more walkable, friendly quality of life in our village. So be forewarned, they're out there.
Yes, Don, I've seen them on a few occasions, and, but you point out something very important. I mean, you know, foremost, our duty is to protect the village, you know, citizens, and the kids too, that are going to school back and forth. And we've had some incidents in the past, and during the campaign, I know many of us spoke with different groups, and that was a major issue with those groups, and we have, you know, a new chief that took a quick look at it with the work of Don and the traffic committee, and came up with some immediate things we could do to try to make everyone more aware. And I do see them being stopped at the key spots that were reported to us during the campaign. So it's great, and I think, you know, we need to continue. I know when I visited the traffic committee, we have ordered new signage for certain areas and things like that. So there's other things that we're going to do before we look at, you know, even more typing, and we'll see how it goes. I do want to address. Did we get everybody? I think so. Liz, would you like to say?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. If I could just have a minute. This year when I was collecting toys for Tots, speaking with Abby Kinnett, I actually realized that this is my 34th year collecting toys. So I think most of you know I'm a Marine Corps veteran, so it's a very close personal attachment with me. But at any rate, on behalf of the Westchester Detachment of the Marine Corps League, and on a very personal and heartfelt note, I wanted to thank the former mayor and board of trustees, the current mayor and board, for allowing me to continue to have the collection been here. Very special thank you to Trustee Taylor for his innovative idea to have people be able to order gifts via Amazon and other internet entities and have them delivered to me, which was actually confusing because at first I thought I was just getting a lot of presents. So, so I did give them to the children. So that worked. But at any rate, and you know, thank you of course to my administrator, my staff for their support, fire department, police department, chaps down at the Embassy Center, Steve Trezza and his crew, and just residents, neighbors, everybody's contributed, and it means a lot to me, and I thank you all so much.
Liz, thank you. Thank you for all you do for that. It's a terrific cause, and it does a lot of good, and brings a lot of smiles to people's faces, so thank you for that, and as a representative of the village, it's a wonderful thing to do. Charlene, just to give equal time here, did you have anything?
No, well, two things. 99 Cedar Street, it's 90% completed. The blacktop can't be done till spring. They may come in to do a little leveling of the property, but I think their work is pretty much done until spring. The Embassy Center, you will be getting an email from me, which gives you the draft of the bid document, of the public notice for the bid, and the bid documents. And it's like huge, so I'm just PDFing it to you. So that will be out as soon as the board gives me the authority to do so. I would imagine early February, that will be out. So
Great.
It starts.
Thank you, Charlene. I want to mention a few things. One is the newsletter went out. Thank you, Trustee Nell, for pulling that together. And there are a lot of important information in there. I'm not sure if I should quit here while I'm ahead, but I wanted to bring up a few things about the parking announcement that went out. Just to clarify it, I know there was a follow-up, and we answered a lot of questions that had come in about it. But we did take a look at the situation at the main parking lot in the waterfront. And the chief has looked at it, over the last, I think they've been looking at it for the last year or so. So I know I've gone down many times at different times, and there's a tremendous amount of open spaces at the waterfront. So the discussion, came around to this year's announcement. We tried to hold down the cost of an annual parking permit. But we also wanted to see what we can do. We had received a lot of calls and a lot of comments during the campaign that, they couldn't get a permit. They were on a waiting list, and there's open spaces down there. Now, those people sort of had to go to Village Hall, buy a daily or whatever, they were selling at the police station, and then go down and park. So, it's almost like a penalty for them. It's more work. So we took a closer look at it, and we felt that we could go out and issue permits because of the number of spaces that we saw that were available. And this way, everybody, there wouldn't be a rush on one day to get a permit. There'd be lines down the block in the cold weather and things of that nature. So we actually gave them, I think, they're going on sale February 3rd. They're actually effective February 14th, but we also extended it 2 weeks to the end of February, February 28th. So, you don't have to rush in to buy it. Gives you a little bit more time. And, we're going to continue to monitor the situation. We do have alternative parking areas that we'll make available and are available now. And we'll consider that if it happens where, one person or 2 people or 3 people can't get a spot, then we'll make arrangements on, High Street maybe or Palisade. But we'll continue to look at the situation and monitor it. But I think, from what we've seen in our information, that it should go fine. I think it'll be fair to everybody. So again, I want to thank the chief and his troops, and you did a great job for us, and keep up the great work. And all of our first responders, we're very lucky to be living in a place like Knox Ferry with people that, like yourself, that get up on alarms in the middle of the night and really protect us. So thank you very much. Thanks.
I have one thing, Hope. We've been talking all about the commuter permits, but the residential permits will also be on sale that day. And we're going to send out an email with that link so that you can download the application and fill that out as well. We just didn't want to confuse by doing it all at once. And we hope we can, get people to sign up for both the same day if you want both. So keep an eye out for that.
I should note, too, that the St. Patrick's Day Parade, you guys aware of that? Because we definitely want you to lead the charge. St. Patty's Day parade in the Sleepy Hollow River Towns Parade. And of course, we'll hopefully invite many others in the community. We're meeting with Lisa Brady, I think, on Thursday, Charlene, correct? We can bring it up with them. And Trustee Sullivan, you have some influence at the Scouts.
Yes.
Maybe they would like to march with us. Nice,
Sure.
warm,
Sure.
sunny day.
Sure.
And of course, all the trustees. So thank you all very much, and